From the challenge of China to the so-called rise of the rest, many analysts believe that America's best days may be in the rearview mirror. Is the United States truly in decline? Or are those American century obituaries premature? An all-star panel of experts discussed the idea of an American decline and added the context necessary to understand the question during a recent Wilson Center Alumni Conference. Their thoughts provide the focus for this edition of Rewind.
America emerged from the Cold War as the sole remaining superpower, a hyperpower, as a French diplomat put it. An American diplomat called America the super-duper power. And you have the international system undergoing shifts, the rising powers, Russia, a newly assertive Russia on its periphery. So to start the conversation, is this confluence of trends, it's an indicator of American decline, or that the world is no longer unipolar? Just give us your brief take on where is the United States in the world.
I do think the world is changing, though. We're in the midst of a global power transition. Lots of shifts are underway. And on balance, if you take a kind of global balance sheet, there are forces that are making it more difficult for the U.S. to exercise leadership. There are other forces that are reinforcing and creating opportunities. So it's a mixture. But there is less power capability, relatively speaking, in America's hands. In the 90s, the U.S. had 32% of world GNP. Now it has around 20.
Given the kind of macro trends that John pointed to, if you were in policy planning now, and Bruce, you just left, talk about it sort of from the governmental perspective. Give us your take on it from the experience you've had.
I think a stronger argument that the United States is declining is that there's been a decline of American allies and alliances. And this John alluded to as one of his 5 points. It's not clear to me that we are in decline. I think that a lot of these things are cyclical. I think actually the conversation about whether we're in decline or not is a sign of our vitality and sort of democratic health. We know that demographically, we're the only great power that's going to be getting younger over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That's a very good sign. Our economy is not where we would want it to be, but it's pretty strong. And if you've been following the stock market the last 5 years, you've been pretty happy.
I share Secretary Albright's view about the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. I don't think it's necessarily not in our interest. And moreover, as Willie Sutton said about why rob banks, that's where the money is. That's where the money is. And if China gains this much influence, well, maybe from a public goods perspective, there's a gain here that could benefit the United States as well.
For the past year and a half since I left the Wilson Center, I've been covering the Pentagon. And it's a really weird new beat for me because it's just so vast and there's so much going on. And I travel the world now looking at it through the lens of the American military. And it's amazing to me just how much everybody still seems to depend on us. The whole idea for me of sort of a decline in American power is hard for me to sort of see, right, because anecdotally I just see it so much the opposite, and I don't know who, if we are declining, I'm not sure who we think is going to be taking our place. And I think when you start talking about a balance, I don't see a real competitor there, not including China.
The world has changed, and with it, so has the nature of power. And what states can deploy today, even very strong democratic states can deploy today as power tools. I think what we're seeing is the falsification of the theory that globalization and deep integration would produce peace and democracy all over. Instead, we're seeing friction, competition, and in some cases violent competition. And we're seeing a world where that friction is between the winners of globalization and the losers of globalization. And to me, Russia is the first instance of a very strong power, a former superpower, behaving like a globalization loser.
In the 21st century, why America will stay at the center of the system and China and Russia will not be at the center of the system is precisely because of these both hard power. The U.S. has the ability to protect countries in ways that China and Russia can't. Its geographic position to be the offshore global balancer, that will not change unless geography changes. And the regime characteristics that make the U.S. More inclined to affiliate with other states than Russia and China are willing to are deep advantages that are not going to change over the next generation.
I have a few assumptions. Number one is that a liberal democratic order is the best possible order. Number two is that most people around the world aspire to that. The third is that regimes and non-state actors who don't agree with those first two assumptions are on the wrong side of history. And four is that we will prevail in the long run. But that's where I think the debate doesn't end. I think that's where it starts. And the question is, how long is the long run? And what can we do to accelerate it? Accelerate the time it takes to get to that desired destination, and at what cost? And can we offset through alliances, through being smarter with our policies, some of those costs to others so we can burden share? That's really where I think the debate is, and I think that that's what we need to focus on going forward.
For more information, visit wilsoncenter.org, where you can view the entire panel discussion as well as additional video from the May 2015 Wilson Alumni Conference.